One of my favorite things about hosting ESPN West Palm tonight is the opportunity to work with the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County and highlight the exceptional companies and organizations right here in our backyard. Cyrus Wittig with you here, and right now we are doing just that, recognizing RMS International as the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County's Business of the Month. And representing RMS International is their Chief Operating Officer, Matt Nelson. Matt, thanks so much for being with us, and just give us some background and tell us more about RMS International.
Well, sure. Thanks for having us here. Really appreciate it. RMS International was established back in 2012. We got a small group actually in the beginning of former military intelligence types. And what we did is we were in the security industry already, and we joined up and started combining forces. Extensive background on the individuals involved included a lot of overseas contract work, as well as work with security organizations based here in the U.S. So that combined effort and that reach is what really established RMS International in the beginning back in 2012. From then, we've blossomed, and really over the last probably 3 to 4 years, our international footprint has grown exponentially. We've had operations in about 57 different countries just in the past 2 years alone. Everything from helping do evacuations out of Afghanistan to being on the ground, moving assets and people in the Ukraine at the beginning of the war, to even evacuating out of Sudan and Israel in the recent crisis in those countries. Mm-hmm. But our mainstay has been here in the U.S. with operations with a lot of high net worth individuals doing their estate security, travel management on an international basis, and also a lot of ad hoc work that we do for workplace violence and other issues and close protection details for people who are traveling in the U.S.
You mentioned the founding of RMS International back in 2012, so going into your second decade. But I read that RMS International opened corporate headquarters in West Palm Beach in March of 2023. And I'm curious, what made South Florida, more specifically Palm Beach County, the optimal place for, again, the home of RMS International?
Well, part of that is selfish reasons, because I've lived in Palm Beach County since about 2001. And what we realized while we were here is that there's a phenomenal resource of human capital that we have access to. A lot of people with solid skill sets. There's a strong veteran community that we tap into routinely. Mm-hmm. There's also a strong business community that supports new businesses as they come up. And what's unique about RMS International is that we really rely on a lot of other corporations to be the backbone of our business. We're not a standalone corporation. When new companies come to an area and they're looking for security, peace of mind, duty of care that they have for their individuals who are traveling, their executives, that's why we're here, because there's so much business that's developing in Palm Beach County that's a magnet for us, so we can be here with them and grow with them. Interesting stuff.
Regardless of the industry, of course, across so many different organizations that the BDB works with, it's always important to establish client needs and sort of lay out an action plan.
Absolutely.
What are the topics, the objectives you discuss when you have preliminary meetings with potential clients?
Well, one of the first things we'll do with a corporation or even an individual client when they're looking at their estate management is we'll come in with our team of analysts and security professionals, and we'll do a top-to-bottom security assessment of their facility. That can be, when it's all said and done, can be up to a 100-page document that looks at everything from access control, cameras, background on individuals that are involved in key positions, to what's your travel plan? What countries are you traveling to at any given point? We have clients that will call us up with a 4-day notice and then give us a list of 5 different countries they're going to be in. And understanding what their needs are ahead of time for all those countries makes it easy for us to stand up those individual teams in all those countries within a 24 to 48-hour window.
Sure. What separates RMS International from your competitors in the security, protection industry?
Probably the most important thing that separates us is, number one, is the personnel. Our ability to reach out, and if someone calls me, for example, we had Louis Vuitton, we we did one of their fashion shows down in Miami, and they needed 95 people within 3 days. And so we were able to get a good solid team of 95 people down to Miami to work their show. Likewise, we do a lot of response for natural disasters. Within 24 hours of Hurricane Dorian clearing off of Marsh Harbor, we had teams on the ground doing search and rescue missions all throughout the Bahamas. So our ability to respond quickly with solid personnel who understand exactly what the needs of the client are, that's the key factor of what we're doing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What I was going to say is the newest addition to that portfolio that we can push forward is we spent about $2.5 million developing a 24-hour operations center, and that's at 263 Banyan, right by the Bend. And that operations center is literally like your facility here. Yeah. It's all brand new tech that's in there. We have the strong software that backs everything up, and then we also have the ability to, staff it out with people, as many people as we need to get the mission done. And our plans over the next 5 years, roughly, is to hire about 35 to 40 more people, and we have that already built into the system is how we're working. But that gives us the ability to have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week monitoring and oversight of all of our operations globally.
Kind of two questions based on that. Just don't have to answer them in one fell swoop, but again, going back to something you mentioned, and also the new the 2 million plus investment that you guys have made, and to have eyes everywhere across the map. Again, you mentioned you've conducted operations in 57 different countries. How does RMS International again stay ahead of the risks, the hazards, the threats that again you face on a regular basis from literally, not to use an overwhelming term, but all directions?
Well, the interesting part about that is it's not just the human factor, but there's a technical factor to it as well. So we have some proprietary software that we use. We combine that with AI, and we have constant reports and flow from everywhere in the world. We can set up a geofence around a specific area, and any news, anything that hits that specific area, we start getting a stream of information in. We also have, on the human side, we have really qualified analysts with a lot of experience, government experience, military experience in analyzing the specific threats that occur in different countries around the world. And we have that complete flow of information into us at all times as well. And the third factor to that is because of our reach, our connections, we actually have people on the ground that understand exactly what the situation is. For example, when we were in Sudan, we had teams that were talking to both sides of the conflict. So we were able to move people through checkpoints at different times because we had people on the ground who had relationships and could build that. And that's that secondary part that nobody really considers when you're talking about an operation from that 10,000-foot view.
Kind of piggybacking on, again, just circling back, you mentioned that in the next 5 years, you guys want to try to add 35 people to the operation. And obviously, this is a lot of times, this is highly complex work. Talk about being in Sudan and being able to communicate with both sides of the conflict, and I'm sure that's just one example of the work that you do. Obviously, I'm sure there's a big military presence or candidate base that you pull from, but I guess what are the specifics of the specific characteristics, the specific experiences that you look for in a candidate to again come in and contribute to the exceptional team and organization that is RMS International?
Well, from the beginning, we have like I said, we have a lot of reach into the veteran community, but we're not limited to that. We are looking for individuals that are ready and willing to learn, that have that basic capability. The familiarity and comfort in front of a computer screen is important, but also the ability to try to put some different abstract ideas and bring those pieces together. So we have operations specialists that monitor all of our events, and we need them to be able to have those communication skills that are important to communicate across cultures. We have an operation that's starting tomorrow night that's going to be in Abu Dhabi, but we also have one in a couple of days that's going to be in Palma, Mallorca. So Spanish and Muslim, Arab areas, very different culturally. And so being able to operate in and understand the different cultural differences in those countries is really important to us. We also have, on the other side of that, is our analyst team. So our analysts, again, have to have a lot of passion to get in and do these deep dives. When we're talking about, if someone gives me a call like we had last week, we were supporting an operation in Cartagena. So what's going on in Cartagena, Colombia today? Well, there's a lot of things that are going, but we do a country report, we do a deep dive, and then our recommendations. For example, you don't want to just land in your $15 million plane, hop out and hop into a sedan and drive away. So we have armored vehicles waiting for them. We have armed custom protection officers, close protection officers with them. So it's developing that need and understanding that and being able to put that analysis on that then can fold out to the operations side of things. So there's a lot of we need people who can think fast. We need people who are pay very close attention to detail, and we need people who are willing to expand their thought and really push things forward.
Talk about that detail, and again, just some quick examples of the services that RMS International provides. Again, the 24-hour risk operations center you talked about, executive travel management, residential estate security, a specialist in evacuation for personnel and assets, national and international disaster response, cybersecurity. Again, that word you just mentioned, highly detail oriented. How are you able to provide, again, so many different services across literally all four corners of the map, like we've said, while, again, maintaining and living up to those exceptional standards that the company has set for itself over the last decade plus?
Well, I have a skill set, and my skill set as an officer in the Marine Corps, as you gain rank and experience, you go from operations to logistics. And the logistics is simply being able to bring all those different pieces together and have the right people to do the right jobs. So when I'm talking about someone who's got to go onto a yacht in the Mediterranean and then sweep that yacht for electronic listening devices and cameras, right? The individuals that we use to do that, that's their specialty. Right. That's what they do. When we have a cyber intrusion and there's an active threat against a company that's going now, we have guys that's what they do. I don't do that. I have an idea what they do, but I get the guys that's their life. And when we bring an expert in to come and handle those things, that's how our reputation builds. Our close protection guys, a lot of them are Tier 1, former British SAS, French Foreign Legion, U.S. Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines, guys who've been out there doing things. We've got Navy SEALs. We've got Delta Force, SEAL Team 6 guys that are those high-end operators. So depending on what the mission is, depends on the guy I'm going to call to do those missions. Sure. And being able to do that front-end analysis and identify what the threats are and then identify the needs affords us the opportunity then to reach out to the right people to get the job done and to execute.
Circling back to something you mentioned, earlier, and this is in relation to the BDB. When I think about companies that work with the BDB, I think about companies in financial services and distribution, logistics, healthcare, commerce, manufacturing. Of course, all of those incredibly important to the economy. But for RMS International, where you are in the business of, again, protection, security, investigation, cybersecurity, surveillance, how has the BDB, again, been an asset to you since you've arrived here in Palm Beach County?
Well, with the Business Development Board, our primary footprint issue is that no one knows who we are. We've done the level of operations and the things that we've done in the places we've been. You'd be surprised if I went down that list. When I remember sitting in a hotel in Budapest in Hungary and watching TV, it was a live feed from the U.S., and there was a CEO of a company that was doing evacuation operations out of Ukraine. We were doing his evacuation operations out of Ukraine, right. And he was on the News 24 News channel talking about what a great job his guys were doing. We're the company that is executing on the ground, and nobody really knows us because we've been operating behind the scenes. We're the silent professionals.
Sure.
We're moving in the background. So we're at a point now where what we want to do is have a strong footprint in our own backyard. let people know who we are, get a chance to reach out to businesses. And the Business Development Board has been doing that for us. They've introduced us and opened a lot of doors for us. This feature, for example, is fantastic, and really excited to be doing things like this with the board. Their upcoming event they have their annual soiree that they have over at the Breakers. We're actually going to be providing security for them.
Excellent.
As well. That's our contribution back to them. So a number of things like that have really opened the doors for us, and we're looking for that tremendous opportunity. They've also facilitated for us the ability to reach those goals of hiring the 35 that I was talking about. We're hiring a couple of spots right now, and they provided the introductions for us through the universities and through the county to get those job descriptions out there so we can get the resumes back into us. And so those are things that aren't readily available for us at all times.
Again, you think about the things, again, that you guys are doing at RMS International, and a lot of this stuff is truly stuff you think about in the movies. I mean, covert operations and sort of the spycraft thing and agents all over the world. Do you ever consult again, with shows or movies about who want to be, at least they got to take some artistic privilege, but somewhat accurate about the things that really go on sort of behind the scenes in those covert operations? So
not specifically with any shows or any movies like that, but we do the amount of different things that we do. Some of it, and it's like wars. 99% of the time, you're sitting back twiddling your thumb. But then something great happens, and you're pushed out there. We did one job where we escorted for the International Olympic Committee. We escorted the head of the Ukrainian Olympic Committee, Sergei Bubka. Soviet era gold medal, pole vaulter.
Yeah,
we escorted him with a full team, armored vehicles, all the way into Kiev. When the Russians were at the doorstep of Kiev, and so that he could regain his torches and his gold medals and everything like that, and then bring him back out of the country. So we get cool stories like that, but the other 99% of the time is we get a call that we're getting ready to let somebody go, and he's threatened to come in and shoot up the place. So we have talented guys that will go up there and covertly be in the building when they let this person go to make sure that nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
So we did. Yeah. The spectrum is large,
sure,
right? And the cool stories are what we get to talk about, and the day-to-day mundane stuff are absolutely necessary to keep people safe in their workplace, to keep businesses going, and really that duty of care and the peace of mind that we provide. So a lot of that happens, and we occasionally get a cool story. But yeah,
I was thinking to myself, a lot of people come down to South Florida to unwind. It's gone the golf course, or these days pickleball, or smooth bike ride on the lake trail and on the island, or going to the beach and taking a nap. And again, for you, you're a person who works in such an intense, high stress, again, 24-hour field. How do you unwind? I know it's relative for everybody, but again, how do you unwind a little bit?
I do a lot of stuff with the outdoors. I'm actually a scoutmaster here in West Palm Beach for Troop 13, the oldest Boy Scout troop in South Florida. Been around since 1938.
Very cool.
So these kids, I spend a lot of time with them. My daughter is graduating tomorrow from Dreyfus High School.
Congratulations.
She's going to be going to school in England. She's an Eagle Scout. My oldest son is an Eagle Scout, and he's a lieutenant in the Army. He's in Korea now. My youngest son is a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and he's in Japan right now. And so we're going to travel, right?
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's what I do in my spare time. I travel. I like to do stuff with my kids. My daughter's going to be going to school in the UK at Art Institute there. And before we go, we're going to spend 3 weeks hiking around Scotland. So that's the type of thing I like to do. I like to disconnect as much as possible and get out there. My job does run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when I'm not completely disconnected. And it's tough at times, but the results, what we get out of it on the back end, it really matters. We've changed a lot of lives. We've helped a lot of people in a lot of different tough situations, and that really makes it worthwhile.
Matt, I will let you go, but can't thank you enough for your time.
Sure, absolutely.
Incredibly interesting stuff, super insightful. Just we don't get to talk about this very often, and so excited that you were able to come in and share some of your, again, precious minutes with us. And again, congratulations on the recognition from the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County, and I look forward to hopefully our next conversation sometime soon.
Absolutely. Share a couple stories with you.
No doubt. Thanks again, Matt.
All right. Thank you.